Salisbury UK. We're about 4 miles from Stonehenge, and I had some very interesting dreams that I wanted to share with you guys as far as the collective consciousness of what I was interacting with last night, and some of the things to understand and begin understanding as you guys are all on your own paths towards your own individual ascension. So many of the roles that we have as star seeds and as angelic incarnates and awesome beings here on earth are reflections of one another. One of the reflections that I have recently stepped into is translating specific characteristics of upper dimensional consciousness with the lower D's, lower dimensional. Obviously we're in 3D, so we're down here on the ground in the physical. But to try and explain some of these concepts so it's more easily able to understand. Some of the most difficult things is the translations, and I'm here to help you and assist you with some of those things so that we can all get this engine of consciousness on our ship here on Earth cranking and up to speed. Alright, so first and foremost, being in Sedona is kind of like being in Grand Central Station. It is a place of a higher vibratory form, and the speed there is around threefold compared to the most of the places I visit. Why is that? The Hopi, Native American tribe local to Arizona and in that area, the Hopi would always go to Sedona, right, for ceremony and for certain times during the year to honor the gods. Okay. The reason is, the funniest thing is, the Hopi go, you don't live in Sedona, that's where the gods live. Well, it's funny to say that because the level of consciousness which I am now getting used to and having that understanding of my higher selves in the manner of their roles here on Earth and how we are meant to integrate right into this system and then kind of find the specific things that we as a collective need to work on. Okay, well, that interaction has prepared me for interacting with different beings on different conscious levels when I enter into new territory. Hence, in the UK. We landed yesterday, we went straight to Stonehenge, and today we will finish up with that. But I wanted to explain some of the things you guys might be experiencing in your dream time and have you try to make some analogies for yourself on what information is trying to come from upstairs, right, and matriculate down into 3D. When you guys are having dreams about very specific objects, let's just say, or there might be a very, it seems like a very mundane dream, where maybe, for example, I like to speak about my experience I just had. I was taking care of some ravens here in my dream time. I also saw some images of my mom. I also saw some images of interacting with other beings here. And what I'm trying to get to is, if you're having an upper dimensional conversation or you're interacting in a manner upstairs, the 3D processing unit, your chemical computer, your CPU, can only pick up on certain aspects of that conversation. However, it is limited to what your conscious, right, your experience level can hold. Meaning that it's very hard for a 3D incarnate with this level of perception, right, to understand what light language is, star language, and actually what's going on, say, in 6D. We're in 3D. So what they'll do is give you little pieces of an idea of what that interaction is taking place upstairs down in 3D. Hence why you might be taking care of some ravens. Upstairs you might be in an interaction, say a 4 or 5D template where you're in a council meeting and you're interacting and trying to adjust or communicate with specific beings in this specific territory. Okay? In 3D though, in your dream space, you'll go, I was talking to some ravens. What I'm trying to get is the direct correlation of the consciousness when it bypasses and matriculates down into 3D. It depends on that interaction and the little small pieces of that consciousness which actually seep into this dimension. the CPU, chemical CPU, and your perspective down here, then adjust your own mind space, because you can only reference what is in your mind and what you've experienced here on Earth, right? If you're in your awake time, until you get stronger, okay, to understand what that interaction is, and that you actually were having a very specific conversation. Hence, the ravens weren't ravens. They are specific dimensional beings I was speaking to. My mom might have been a representation of Gaia, or the Earth Council, okay? The interaction, how we were taking care of them, right, is a direct correlation, visible reflection that in 3D when I woke up, boom, I was like ravens making eggs, talking to my mom. And I was like, wait, now let me back it up. It's like you have to back up the recorder, okay? Lock on to what the interaction was, and then take that reference, play it back in your own mind space, and then find the correlation in your dream time with your higher self and what was going on. That is being a conscious being, okay? Thought that little tip might help you. So when you guys have weird dreams about, God, I'm hanging out with my friends and there's this certain thing that we're talking about, or there's this certain situation that keeps looping. Looping means a situation that keeps going in a circle, okay? To understand that those are direct reflections of what's going on upstairs, however, in a manner that you can understand and perceive when you wake up. So it's important to understand how the consciousness works. Earth is a free will zone, okay? So you have the free will to pay attention or to not, I suppose. UK is awesome. Energetically, it feels like, funny enough, it feels like a more foresty version of where I grew up in Manhattan Beach. And what do I mean by that? Well, in Manhattan Beach where I grew up, it's 4D on steroids, okay? That Hollywood version. And it's a little sleepy time. When I was, you know, access between 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8D, kind of. Okay, most of the beings there are operating from 3 to 7. Same in France, 3 to 7. It means third dimension, fourth dimension, fifth dimension, sixth dimension, seventh dimension. Now mind you, the 6th and 7th dimension are absolutely fantastic. 6 through 9 is the keys to the angelic realm. So if you're perceiving a 7D reality, kudos to you. That's amazing. Okay. Now some of the things that consciousness here is working on is interacting in a specific manner which reflects the time, and especially the time in the golden ages we are in now, to understand that the cycle, and some of us who have incarnated here, some of us only show up specifically during these transitionary periods, okay? To understand that I am simply a vessel in some of these beings as your frequency raises, right? You begin to have dialogue, interact. You begin to perceive through their eyes as they view through yours. You become a conscious vessel operating in 3D. You become a multidimensional being operating in 3D. When you do that, you begin to understand the responsibility you hold and the integrity of your emotions and your actions and your words, okay? So, as you're waking up and you're having more of these aha moments when you wake up in the morning, it's important to also request before you go to sleep, you know, higher self, source, God, Yahweh, my angelic, my guides, whatever vernacular you would like to use, my oversoul, right? Please allow me to view some information that might be very important to me. Be very specific. Since everything is consciousness and energy, when you make a very specific request on your stream in 3D and then go to sleep, that request will be met with an appropriate answer. The issue is that you have to ask, and why. A conscious being asks questions. A conscious being would like to know more. A conscious being views their environment and the beings in their environment in a different manner. There's no more question marks on what your friends are doing in dream time. You're there with them, or you're interacting with them in real time. Okay, so when you're operating in a 3D vessel, physical suit, to maintain your multidimensional aspects but keep them in check, meaning that balance is what we're going for. Balance is what you should be going for, okay? The ability to enjoy a beautiful place such as this, which I am here now in Salisbury, in this amazing location. Appreciate the consciousness and the beauty of it. At that same time, be looking in here and in here on when you see beauty, how you can reflect that in others and see that beauty in others. That's the most important thing. Very simple truths to always hold, universal truths. For me, first and foremost, is treat others like how you would like to be treated, with respect. Okay? And consciously, when you have specific races, creeds, tribes, right, cultures, right, when they interact with one another, right, to understand abundance comes through your own creation. Lack of abundance, or lack of creation, truly, is when beings start fighting over resources, territories, because they only understand what has worked in the past. They copy and paste it every single year and try to have it work in the present moment. Okay? So to understand that, hey, I don't know, we're now using zero-point technology. Hey, we're using desalination plants to filter ocean water into drinking water. Hey, we'd rather eat organic. Hey, are the chemtrails necessary? Hey, questions like this, okay guys? To understand, consciously research, hey, I don't want sodium fluoride in my drinking water. I'd like to use my third eye. Thank you. This is a free will zone. I would like to see through the veil. Thank you. Things like this. So, as you guys are waking up though, I want you to understand some things. Your level of perception when you're waking up is based upon your field, your sphere, in the walls and buffer, firewalls. Imagine I'm in a golden sphere, okay? And everything in this consciousness is pinging off me. Okay? Ping, you're interacting here, you're interacting there, you're interacting here. The issue is that the structure of you, knowing who you are, maintains those walls. Your frequency, how you take care of yourself, the vitamin intake, your workout routine, what you're thinking about every day, maintains those walls. And us incarnates who are here with very specific tasks, to understand that when you're inserted into someone else's matrix, and I'm coming from Sedona, inserted into the UK, you greet and meet these beings with respect, and to understand each territory you visit here on Earth, that to understand a little bit about their culture and subculture aids you in understanding what needs to be mended, what needs to be adjusted, and what levels of perception need to be shared in this conscious level to really aid and facilitate what you're doing. Do your homework, and I find that helps out tremendously. In the future, it's on and cracking. So I've been talking to people as higher selves and the overselves of this territory. They're amazing beings, and the unity of the frequency is what we're after. And if every single territory on this ship, we're all on the same ship together, it's called Earth, right? It's a big consciousness engine with different gears. We'll call these gears dimensions. Okay? Different reality planes intermingling, layered on top of each other. Okay? If the speed on the outer layers and the higher gears, say 6 and 7, 6 and 7 speed, are cranking. Now let's work on 5, 4, and 3rd gear. And the 3D is a foundation stone, right? And a true testament of the level of consciousness of the vessel to hold that level of frequency in the physical. And I feel that is the main test and trial, on Earth, is to be able to maintain that while you're living inside of a simulation program. in one way or the other. Like I said, these are just vernacular terms for you, but to understand that your interaction becomes magical. Your interaction becomes elegant and graceful the more consciousness you hold, because you interact with the environment in a very loving, balanced, and awesome way. You're no longer looking to the environment for what it can provide you. Rather, it's a homeostasis of how you can live and work together. And when we were given stewardship over this planet, okay, to understand that we're responsible for the animal kingdom, we're responsible for Earth and our ship, we're responsible for our front yard and our backyard, okay, to understand that and how you take care of your environment and your space and how you treat your neighbors is very important, because within that correlation, your belief systems merge into one, so that you guys all start seeing the same magical things together. And that's what I like to share with you guys. A little tip for you: pay attention to your dreams, and at least give yourself at least 5 or 10 minutes every morning. Okay, usually get a cup of tea, get a cup of coffee, walk outside in the sun, process, give yourself at least 5 or 10 minutes every night, every morning. What was I dreaming about? Who was I hanging out with? What were we working on? And remember that sometimes the basic dreams of, oh, I was hanging out with my friends in a pub and we were talking about this, to understand that that might be a direct reflection of actually a real, a different conversation upstairs, and the correlation in the lower planes is just to give you some sort of simulation or understanding or emotion or feeling of what was being discussed. So to understand that all those visual images are there to aid you in putting that puzzle back together into becoming a whole collective consciousness ambassador here on Earth. So with that, family, just love you guys very much, and we're going back to Stonehenge today, and then we're off to Glastonbury, and I'll see you guys there. Peace.